Hey everybody, it's Mariah with Second Wind Homestead. Today we're going to be making Asian garlic pickled green beans. Spicy and not. Okay guys, I wanted to show you how I usually trim up my beans if I'm trying to get a specific size to fit in a jar. I marked on my cutting mat, this is my starting point, and I have a line for pints or quarts depending on what I'm doing. And I just line up a bunch of beans, whatever I'm cutting. I don't usually put them up there just because it is Sharpie and I don't really want that on my food. And then you can see, you can just eyeball and cut right down where the pint is. Now if you have some longer pieces left, you know, I don't like to waste anything. So you can simply just go ahead and take off stem end, and that can go in the bowl too. Got a big old bowl. I'm almost done trimming them up. I also have too, I want to show you, I have a mix of rattlesnake beans, dragon tongue, that we grew in the garden. I know it was hard, I showed it on the other garden video, but it's really hard to see outside in the sun. We have this one rattlesnake bean that came up with purple pods this year. So I do have a couple on the plant out there I'm letting go for seed so I can make sure I have some of those in the garden next year. Okay, my beans are all trimmed up, so the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and prep my ginger. I have a small piece of ginger that we grew in the garden last year. The easiest way that I have found to peel is with the back of a spoon, and you just go and you just scrape it along and it peels that skin right off very easily. See? Right off. It can be a little hard getting in, you know, between the fingers on this, or what I call the fingers. Not a big deal. It's okay if you don't get all the skin off. It will be perfectly fine. Alright, I have that mostly cleaned up. I'm going to set it to the side. Get all the skin out of the way. Next thing I'm going to do, just peel up some garlic cloves. I have this nifty little tube. Just roll it around in there, out it comes, and the skins peel right off. I have one large garlic clove for each jar, or two little ones depending on what you have, and you are welcome to add more garlic. This happens to be the last of mine, or I probably would be adding more. The other things that we're going to need for this, I have some dried cayenne peppers. I grew these in the yard last year. You need one per jar. I am not going to do all the jars spicy, so I'm just going to do 2 of the jars spicy, and then the other 3 jars I'll just use black peppercorns. I have dried minced garlic and dried minced onion. I also have some fresh chopped onion I'm going to use. We already have our ginger and our garlic ready to go. I'm just going to chop that into a couple of slices, divide them up a little bit evenly between the jars. So just 5 little chunks. I think I can get 5 jars. If I can't, I do have some squash and zucchini I can pickle up with the rest of the brine to make your brine. The way I do mine, I do 3 cups of water, 3 cups of vinegar. I'm going to use white vinegar today, and then it is 6 teaspoons of pickling salt, which is equal to 1/8 of a cup if you have 1/8 of a cup measure. Save you measuring out 6 teaspoons of something. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my brine ready here. I'm going to do my salt first since it's handy. I do already have a stock pot with jars on the stove heating up, so that it is ready when I am ready to go.
Well, I found a clip now.
I have 3 cups of water already measured out. I'm going to put in there. And then 3 cups of white vinegar. Always get down on eye level and check. Measurements are different from a higher view than they are when you're staring directly at your measuring cup. Alright. 3 cups of white vinegar in. Now I'm just going to put it on the stovetop, get it simmering. Probably boiling 1 to 2 minutes until your salt is nice and dissolved. And then you're ready to load jars. Get a spoon, stir it up. Alright, I'm going to get this simmering and I'll be back. While I'm waiting on that to come to a simmer and my salt to get dissolved in there, the other things you're going to need, we wear a water bath canning. I have my funnel. I have a cloth to put down just so I protect the jars from shock against a cold countertop and protect my countertop from hot jars. I have my debubbler, jar lifter, very important. I also have some pot holders on hand if I need them to hold on to a hot jar or anything. Green beans are over here. I get my extra chili peppers out of the way. Alright. All my spices are right here. Get those ready. I have a minimal amount of more time. Alright. My brine is at a boil. It's been boiling a couple of minutes. I'm going to turn my heat down so it doesn't go everywhere on me. I've got a ladle. I have my lids and my rings ready to go as well. You can tell by the steam coming up, my stock pot with my jars in it is ready to go. So I'm going to start by pulling a jar out. And then I went ahead and divided. I have my ginger, my garlic, and a chili pepper. And I have a pot holder to hold this jar. And then what I'm going to do, we're just going to load it. Let's see. I'm going to do a little spoonful of onion. We're going to do, I think I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of the dried onion since I have fresh as well. And then I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of the dried garlic. Alright. And then we just going to load it up with green beans. You can just shove them in. You can try to make them pretty. Whichever way works for you. I am just going to go for functionality. You can shake them down a little bit. You want to make sure that your beans, you're still going to need a 1/2 inch of headspace. So make sure that your beans aren't too long. If they are, just snap them off shorter and keep going. I'm going to try and fit as many beans as I can in a jar so that they're nice and full. Make it worth my effort here. Put a nice pretty dragon tongue here at the outside edge. I want to try and make sure that that red pepper, which it's not, is showing so that I can tell when I am done which jar is my spicy jar. I'm doing 2 spicy and hopefully 3 not spicy. So I've got a lot of people who, I'm one of the only ones who will eat spice. Alright, got that jar pretty full. It's as simple as we're going to take brine and we're going to fill it up to leave us a 1/2 inch headspace. Let's see where I stand. We're going to debubble. Just want to run your tool. I usually put it around the edge and squeeze it in towards the middle. That helps force out any air bubbles that you've got. Alright, Alright, then I can use my other end. I am right at that 1/2 inch headspace. So that one is good. So now I just I use a clean wet washcloth and I wipe my rim. Shove that beans trying to pop up there. Put a lid on and a ring. You want to just be fingertip tight, which means with your fingertips, as tight as you can get with just your fingertips. Jar lifter up and into the canner. I'll show you the canner when I've got it all full. I'll have to move my camera angle. Alright. That jar. Let's see. Let me get a jar here. Alright. So the next jar is going to be a spicy jar too. So I have my garlic, my ginger, the red pepper I'm going to wait and put in towards the end so I can tell. A little bit of chopped onion, doing the 1/4 teaspoon of the dried minced onion, 1/2 teaspoon dried minced garlic, and then we are simply going to fill with our green beans again. Usually my jars, I'm being honest here, the first ones look kind of pretty. Then when I get bored of trying to put them all in there neatly towards the end, they just get shoved in however they go. And it really doesn't matter as long as I'm not giving them as gifts or anything. They're for personal, our consumption. It doesn't matter. This brine and seasonings too are really good. I have done squash and zucchini pickled in this. I've done carrots. It's just so good. If you like the Asian garlic ginger combination, you'll like this. Alright, now I'm going to slip my pepper down in the side so I can tell which jar is my spicy one. Once again, we just top off with brine. Alright, let me debubble and we'll check headspace. Need a little bit more. That is perfect. Wipe the rim. Those little green beans want to stick right up. Alright. Ring on there. Fingertip tight, and back in the canner. Alright, this jar, we're not going to do spicy. I'm not going to do any cayenne on this. So we just have our ginger and our clove of garlic. I'm going to do a little bit of the chopped onion. I'm going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of the dried onion. And I'm going to do about a 1/4 teaspoon of black peppercorns. And then my 1/2 teaspoon again of my dried minced garlic. And this one is ready for green beans. I'm going to finish filling these jars and then I'll be back. Once your jars are in your canner, or in my case a stock pot because I'm not doing a big batch, I do have a little expandable rack on the bottom of the pot there to keep the jars off of the bottom of the pot. They are all sitting in there securely. You want to have at least 1 inch of water over the top of your jars. An easy way I check that, I just use my debubbler, which has lint, and if I can put it down and it cover past that 1 inch mark, then I'm good. If not, just add some water to your canner. Now I've turned it back up on high to get it started, and I will get it going to a boil. Put my lid on. Alright, Once it comes up to a boil again, I will turn the heat down until it just maintains that boil, so it's not, my stove tends to boil the snot out of something, so I will probably be able to turn it down to like low almost to keep this at a boil. Once it's at a boil, you can start timing. You want to process it for 10 minutes. At the end of 10 minutes, you will turn the stove off, take your lid off of your canner, and just let it sit there for 5 minutes. See you in a few. Alright, see? Good rolling boil. Keep the lid on, leave it alone, timer for 10 minutes. Timer just went off, so now I'm going to turn my burner off. I'm going to watch the steam. I'm going to take my lid, always open away from you, and I'm going to let it sit for 5 minutes. Okay, my timer just went off, so we're going to go ahead and pull our jars out. I'll just use my jar lifter and lift up. And I have a spot already over here with a nice towel on it. I'm going to set my jars over on that towel, and I'm not going to touch them for at least 24 hours. Gives them time to do a nice good seal, cool down. You'll hear, depending on how warm your house is, you'll hear them start pinging when the lids pop down. But like I said, 24 hours, let them sit, then they should be sealed. Because you are pickling, I would wait, if you're really impatient, a week. I prefer to wait 2 weeks to a month before I open a jar. Give it time for the vinegar to work and get them everything pickled. But there you go, guys. Asian garlic pickled green beans. Okay, everybody, it has been 12 hours. They have sat here. I've left them alone. All you have to do now, just take your rings off, and you can lift by the lid. If you've got a good seal, it won't come off. These also should not flex. And you can, I don't know if you can see that, we have very, very hard water. So what I usually do, I just take a rag soaked in vinegar and I wipe down my jars all the way down and around, and then label them, put a date on them, and they are good to store in the cabinet. You should store them without the rings. It helps to make sure that if the seal does for some reason fail, you can tell it's not holding it down, so you don't know and maybe get a bad jar that you didn't realize. Okay. Like I said, ready to go on the shelf. Aren't those pretty? Beautiful green beans. One more thing I forgot to mention. Processing time was 10 minutes for my elevation. I am under 1,000 feet above sea level. If you are above 1,000 feet above sea level, you need to look up the ball recommendations and how many you'll need to add some time. It's usually 5-minute increments depending on your height above sea level. I'll try and link the page with the info about that in the description below. There they are. Alright everybody, thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell if you want to be notified when our new videos come out. Have a good weekend.